Hello, I'm Dr. Pierre Simon, and it's great being back with you. We're continuing in our series, Embracing the Unfamiliar, Xenophobia. That's also called fear of the unknown. Xenophobia is a little more specific, but oftentimes fear of the unknown is referred to as xenophobia, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit today. I want you to keep in mind that whenever you're reading material, whenever you're even studying, and they say there's a multitude of reasons for this or that, basically it means they don't really know. And so oftentimes we'll say, well, there are many reasons for things. What's the focal point? Where's that zero into? And the fear of the unknown, anxiety, panic attacks, they're still focusing in on what's the focal point? What's the source of this so they can fix it? And so we look at these general things and we come down to a center point as best we can, but it still can be even a more tightly center point where we know exactly what it is, and that's how they can treat it. And that's why when people have fears, well, we know generally reasons why. There are many reasons why, so the multitude of reasons why, but where does it focus into? We're going to talk a little bit about that today when we're talking about xenophobia, the fear or hatred of strangers, which is also the fear of the unknown. Fear of foreigners often is what's called xenophobia, also considered the fear of the unknown. We face that every day, don't we? Especially in this country where we're a salad of a mixture of all cultures and peoples and all that. And that's wonderful. But why are we afraid? Why does it create? Why do we segregate? Why do we separate ourselves into our groups? Why is there tribal warfare in parts of the world? Where one tribe can't get along with the other, so if they get strong enough, they wipe out the other, or they enslave the other. And why is that going on? There's a spiritual dynamic to all that brings us down to that focal point, and yet we have to embrace that spiritual dynamic. If we don't embrace it, well, then we're still in this zone of enhanced fear. Societies fall apart when that xenophobia, fear of the unknown, grows. The more it grows, the more society crumbles. And we see that today, not only in this country, but we see it in many other countries as well, all parts of the world, because we're all made the same. We all have that central need to self-protect. And spiritually speaking, well, we got to focus on what's the opposite of that. How do we stop feeling like we need to self-protect? And certainly there's wisdom in self-protection, but wisely, reasonably, how do we use it? And how do we control it? And we'll talk about that a little bit today. That interconnectedness that we need to have in benefiting our relationships together. From a spiritual perspective, xenophobia can be seen as a reflection of a deeper malaise, a disconnection from the essence of understanding, empathy, and love that many religious and spiritual traditions advocate. Today, we're exploring that, and as we do, some will have an easier time grasping it than others. If you're more of a spiritual person, you'll have an easier time grasping it. If you're not, okay. Grasp what you can. Consider it more. Think about it more. What makes you afraid? What happens when you look under the bed at night when you were a kid? Did you look under the bed at night when you were a kid? Did you keep the closet door open or closed? What was that fear that was there? Well, that travels with us, you know. If that fear was there, if it was strong enough, it would tend to travel with you. It might not be the closet today, but it might be people, or it might be something else. It tends to be a part of self-protection. That lens, those various lenses, provide insights into the roots and pathways toward, well, how can we heal? How can we reconcile? Christian teachings and other spiritual traditions emphasize things like love and acceptance, kindness, hospitality. When we do that, we're outward reaching. We're not inward reaching. So we're reaching out, we're thinking of others, we're thinking outwardly, but fear thinks inwardly, self-protective, which is selfishness. We need to be self-protective, but you need to just bounce down there, as we've spoken about before, going into the basement of the brain where your fight or flight center is located, your limbic system. We bounce down there for self-protection. If someone threatens you in some way, or you feel threatened in some way, okay, I got to act somehow. You see a gunfight going on, that bouncing down there is saying, oh, I need to turn around, go the other way. But you don't want to live down there, as we've spoken about before. We want to bounce out of there, or climb up the steps from the basement, back upstairs to the upper room of the brain where the good thinking is located. And that's outward reaching. When we're upstairs, we're actually thinking in a perspective of everything around us, the gestalt, as they would say, you know, everything around us, the mindfulness of everything going on, not just selfishness or protecting one's integrity or identity is self-protection. Xenophobia can be understood as a manifestation of fear and insecurity, which from spiritual viewpoint indicates a lack of faith, trust, a disconnection from God, or some might look at God as a higher power. You come from various religions. They all have some form of higher power. What works? What's the evidence backing up what you believe? Look for that evidence. If the evidence is there, okay, great. Then it enhances the faith. It enhances the confidence in your belief. If the evidence isn't there, well, okay, now, dig deeper. Maybe you just haven't found it, or perhaps you need to look elsewhere. Fear is often rooted in the unknown or unfamiliar, leading to that defensive and aggressive behavior aimed at self-protection. One way of dealing with that fear of the unknown or xenophobia is connecting with others. But again, fear of others makes it hard to connect or embrace with others. Communities play a crucial role in that. How do I engage in the community if I'm afraid of the community? There is a point of taking a risk. There is a moment where, how do I take that risk? How do I take that step to engage in the community if I'm afraid of the community? I need a bridge. What makes up that bridge to get me over here to at least step into the community for a short time enough to get familiar and maybe bounce back over the bridge to my comfort zone, but now I can go back a little more often because I'm getting a little more familiar, and each time staying a little longer in the community, and before I come back to that safe zone or that self-protective zone. What makes up that bridge? Well, I think you're going to find that in engaging, you need that spiritual facet of faith. spiritual communities in particular are helpful with that. And so that makes it a good start. A good start to try this spiritual community over here, go across this faith bridge to try out this spiritual community, because this spiritual community is safe. It's known to be safe. If I go over here to this other bridge of faith or trust towards this other community that's not safe or not known to be safe, I'm not going to have the faith to build that bridge. It's going to be difficult, but it's easier to have the faith to build this bridge over to this safer spiritual community, to reach out, to be able to get over there. So spiritual communities in particular have the potential to lead by example, offering platforms and dialogues or education that can be embraced by others. In other words, they're safe. Reconciliation involves acknowledging past hurts and seeking forgiveness with commitment to building more inclusive and compassionate societies. So when I build this bridge of faith to get to the other side, to this spiritual community, I can work on reconciliation. I can work on forgiveness. I can work on those things that will help me to be stronger or to heal from whatever I need healing for. Yet I still need the bridge of faith to get over there to heal these things that need healing. Ethically, xenophobia contradicts the core spiritual values of compassion, unity, and inherent worth of every person. It's not only those who are subjected to the difficulties of society, the hardships of society. It can be those who are comfortable in their comfort zones, but they're so comfortable that they don't feel the need to get over there to the society, to the community, to be around other people. So they build their fortresses, their sanctuaries, to protect themselves and stay comfortable, giving them the illusion of safety and comfort, but they're not growing. They're maintaining the same thought pattern. They're maintaining the same fears and whatever else. They're not enriching themselves through maturity. Emotionally, we could say their emotional IQ is lagging behind because they're not expanding that emotional IQ by engaging in this community out here. They haven't built that bridge. They're not going to, because their single-mindedness is refusing to accept the faith part of building that builds the bridge, the structure that's needed to build that bridge. Spiritually healing from xenophobia involves recognizing the divine or God in every person and understanding that diversity enriches the human experience. This healing process requires, I got to look into myself, introspection. They build their sanctuary, their safe place over here. They're not looking into themselves. They're not growing. They're not expanding. They're not understanding. They're in tunnel vision. They're in a circle, circling around like the wagons being circled to protect the people from whatever's going on. Well, that's what they're doing in that sanctuary or safe place that they're building. Refusing to build that faith bridge that's needed to get over to that other side. That fosters selfishness, self-protection, fear, apprehension, anxiety, and whatever else. The Bible addresses fear in various passages. But first and foremost, it's important to recognize the theme of the Bible. It's God-centered. It's Christ-centered. It's reaching out, loving him with all your heart, as the Bible would say, and loving others in the same manner. But the steps are, you got to love him first. That's the faith that builds the bridge. Without the faith that builds the bridge, there's no bridge. I can try to love others, but if I don't have that faith to build a bridge, I can't get across to the others. I'm still in my world of selfishness, self-centeredness, self-protection. I can't bond properly if that occurs with whoever or whatever is on the other side, because I haven't built the bridge. And I'm refusing to, because I am who I am, and I do what I want to do, and nobody's going to tell me what to do, and I'm right, and you're wrong, and whatever else, and I'm stuck over here. We've got to build a bridge to bond with others. And part of that building is, that's helpful. You don't have to look at it this way, but just certainly as a Christian, this is how I look at it. If I bond the bridge with God, if I learn about God, if I get close to God, if I gain knowledge in God, understanding, I'm going to gain insights, and those insights will give me wisdom in helping me to build the faith bridge to get to the other side of connecting or bonding with other people, even that single person that I really want to bond with. They're over here. I can yell at them. I can tell them what to do. I can demand. But because the bridge isn't there, I'm not bonding. I can't reconcile. I can't connect. First and foremost, so we have to acknowledge God as a source of strength and comfort. It's his perfect love that's created us, but it's his perfect love that is asking us, reach out for me. If you reach out for me, you'll grow in faith. You'll be able to build the faith bridge that's needed to get to the other side. We understand that the indwelling of the Holy Spirit confirms our reconciliation with God and the replication of his character with us. Through our first-hand experiences and declarations, we affirm the Father's mission of sending his Son, Jesus Christ, as the divine healer, tasked with mending the world's fractures and reuniting it in love with himself. A tool, maybe that's the wrong word, but a tool, an instrument, a person that helps us to build that faith bridge is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, as we see him in the Bible, in the New Testament. And in helping us to build that bridge, we're drawing closer to God, we're building that relationship with him, our faith increases, our confidence in him, we're gaining the knowledge. So now, okay, I expect he's going to be there today to help me get through the day or whatever. I can sleep tonight. I don't have to worry about what's under the bed or in the closet. He's got me covered. His angels are around me, whatever it is. The more I start believing that to be true, the stronger my bridge becomes, the more complete my bridge becomes. And suddenly I'm able to reach out to the other side, to the community over here, or the person over here, the friends, the family, the wife, the husband, the children, or the culture, the group. I'm able to reach out over there. Through our first-hand experiences and declarations with God, we're able to do that. Those who manifest the essence of God in their lives, giving all glory to Jesus as the Son of God, exist in a state of harmony. So in other words, in building that faith bridge, I experience a greater peace. It's kind of like seeing your house being built. If some of you have ever built a house, you know you might go there daily and watch the house slowly being built. And at first, it doesn't look like much. And they put the foundation, and you kind of look at it and you think, well, that's too small. How is that going to be the house? That doesn't seem right. And then they start putting up stuff, and it's starting to look like a house, and you're gaining confidence as the bridge is being built, as you're learning more and seeing more, experiencing more of this construction going on. You become more confident that this is going to be a nice house. And finally, it's done. It's complete. The bridge is complete. And you start to live in it. And at first, it's a little uncomfortable because it's a strange place, but you realize, oh, this is home. I feel safe here, and so on. That bridge suddenly was complete. And that's what happens to us when we're building our faith in God, our relationship with God. That bridge is slowly getting stronger. It's like the house being built. We're seeing it developing. The more as it goes, we start to see in Daytona Beach, where I grew up, we've got a lot of bridges, and the biggest bridge, there's a big one there. And every day, we'd see pictures of it going up, and how are they going to do that? What's going on there? And it's just amazing how eventually it's done. And you go over it and you go, wow, this is wonderful. Look how great this is, and look how strong it is and all that. It's completed. And you get to the other side. We want to build that faith bridge to get us to the other side, away from our sealed up worlds, making us afraid of everything. Consequently, we've undergone a profound transformation, shifting from individuals propelled by self-interest to regenerated children of God, inspired and animated by His love toward us. Concentrating on the unseen. So the unseen are things like values, faith, spiritual things. Like concentrating on the unseen anchors us in what's lasting, what's trustworthy, what is going to be a growth experience that we won't want to come back to the other side eventually. We want to stay over there in communion with whatever is over there. This approach aligns with the wisdom of sacred scriptures, suggesting a life lived in faith and trust rather than one consumed by fear and the pursuit of whatever is temporary, the pursuit of just whatever is selfishness, whatever feeds me now. Well, if it feeds me now, it's eventually going to be gone. I'm going to build tolerance to it. It's not going to be enough. I'm going to need more. The spiritual dynamics of xenophobia, or the fear of the unknown, fear of others, encompass both the challenges and opportunities for growth that comes with confronting fear and confronting prejudices. By drawing on spiritual principles and practices, individuals and communities navigate the path toward healing and unity, embodying the values of love, respect, hospitality, central to many faith traditions. Again, am I building this bridge to a safe zone, a safe spiritual community, or am I building this bridge, which is not going to be a very strong bridge, because if it's not a safe spiritual community or a safe community, culture, whatever, the faith is going to be very weak. It's going to be based on, you might say, planks of wood that can collapse at any time because of the insecurity over here, making me want to go back over here to where I know there's safety. But in that safety, I'm not growing. I'm not expanding. I'm not learning. Engaging with xenophobia from the holistic perspective addresses the symptoms and root causes paving the way for a more inclusive, harmonious world. In other words, if we look at it from that spiritual perspective, we're zeroing in, we're focusing in a little more on the source of fear of the unknown. Medically, they can focus in to a certain point, okay, and we'll treat it with this and that. Spiritually, we can focus in even more closely into our relationship with God, and how if we strengthen that relationship, if we draw closer to Him, our faith increases. We spend less time in the basement of the brain, in the fear center, in the apprehensive center, in the self-protective and selfish center, and we're spending more time in the upper room of the brain where the good thinking is located. And as I've said before, when the Holy Spirit is speaking to us, when we get those impressions from the spiritual, if you want to look at it that way, and as a Christian from God, then I'm getting it up top. I'm not getting it down there where I'm selfish and I'm self-protective and I'm fear-based. I can't hear Him. Now, certainly He can speak loud enough for me to hear no matter where I'm at, because He's God, but He's not going to, go that extra mile there if it's not necessary, because He knows we're not going to grow if He makes it too easy on us. He wants us to struggle to get up there, get up top where it's easier to hear Him. And that's building that faith bridge to get to this other side, spiritual community, connecting with church, Bible study, home groups, friends, or others, self-help groups, safe communities where you're growing, you're learning, and that increases the strength of the bridge, the faith bridge that's being built. Over here, if it's not a safe community, are you increasing that faith bridge, that trust bridge, or not? It's not possible. It has to be fear-based if you're going to reside in this community. If it's fear-based, what's constructing the bridge? Fear, the planks of fear, the rotten wood of fear, which crumbles so easily. Well, we don't want that. Well, we're going to talk next time about personal growth in embracing the unknown. I hope this was helpful for you today in some way. May your troubles be minor, blessings more, and happiness come through your door. God bless.